Hello there. I'm really glad you're here tonight. Maybe today there were moments you blamed yourself for old things, for small mistakes your mind kept turning over, for memories that brushed against you and tightened your chest. And maybe it's been a long time since you had a place to exhale gently. But right now there's nothing to explain, no story to defend, no one asking you to be okay. You can let things fall a little, like the breeze slowing down outside the window. Take a soft inhale and breathe out as if you're setting down a stone you've carried for too long. I'm here with you tonight. If you are still awake, stay with me. It'll tell you a very gentle story. Imagine you're walking into a quiet night forest. Moonlight rests softly on the leaves, leaving pale, gentle streaks like the breath of the trees. A light breeze passes, carrying the warm scent of earth and the whisper of a faraway stream. On this narrow path, you don't have to hurry. You don't have to put anything down. Just walk step by step, letting your mind soften a little. And right there, beside the stream flowing over old stones, begins the story I want to share with you tonight. That night, on the slopes of Mount Arlo, the wind slipped through the pines like long distant sighs. Moonlight spread across the monastery like a thin silver cloth. Everything was so quiet that if you tilted your head a little, you could hear each fallen pine needle touch the ground like a soft drumbeat. Brother Milo sat alone on the wooden porch, his hands clasped tightly in his lap. He had been there a long time, long enough for night mist to settle on his shoulders. His mind felt stretched, pulled tight like a string on an instrument, wound past its limit. All day, a very small mistake during his work shift, such a tiny, ordinary mistake, had turned into an endless wave of self-blame. I only forgot to close the herb storeroom door, just for a moment. So why do I feel like I ruined everything? He tried walking, then breathing exercises, then chanting. Nothing softened the noise inside him. The thought clung to him, the way persistent rain clings to a window, quiet but constant. He felt like he was fighting something invisible, and the more he fought, the larger it became. He exhaled shakily. Warm tears gathered, not from sadness, but from exhaustion. He didn't notice Master Linden standing at the doorway. The old monk wore a pale blue robe and held a wooden lantern, its little flame swaying with the wind. "The moon is beautiful tonight," the master said gently. "Yeah, here you are, sitting with your head down." Milo startled and bowed. "I'm sorry, master. My mind is very loud tonight." Master Linden placed the lantern beside him and sat down without a rush. offering no demand, no judgment, only presence. Warm and steady. A long moment passed before Milo whispered, "I tried all day, Master. I tried not to think, but the harder I tried, the worse it felt. I keep thinking I'm a burden, like I'm bothering everyone." The Master tilted his head, eyes resting softly on the moonlit courtyard. "You're very tired, aren't you?" Milo nodded quickly, as if those were the only words he had been allowed to admit all day. The Master rose and lifted the lantern. "Come with me for a moment." Milo stood, his legs trembling slightly, and followed him. They crossed the stone yard, down a winding path, toward the lower slope of the mountain. A familiar path. Yet, tonight, it felt like a journey inward. As they neared the base, the sound of water emerged, the eastern stream, flowing strongly after the afternoon rain. They stopped at the bank. Moonlight fell over the water in shimmering silver patches. "Milo, what do you hear?" "Water flowing and stones being struck." "Not quite." The Master smiled. "That is the sound of life moving through stone." Milo frowned, trying to understand. The Master picked up a thin twig, placed it in the stream. It drifted immediately, slipping past rocks with effortless grace. "Do you see?" the Master said softly. "The branch doesn't resist. It lets the water carry it." "I understand what you mean, Master, but inside my chest, everything stays stiff. I don't know how to flow with what I feel." The Master didn't answer immediately. Instead, he bent down, picked up a small black stone, smooth and cold. He placed it in Milo's hand. "How long do you think this stone has been here?" "Maybe many years." "And do you think the water ever tried to break it?" Milo shook his head. "No," the Master said. "Water simply flows. Stone simply stays. Neither fights the other." "But look what happened." Milo glanced around. Every rock by the stream had softened corners, gentle edges shaped by years of water. "The stone changed," Milo whispered. "Yes." The Master nodded. "But not because it was forced. Only because water remained water." Milo looked down at the stone in his hand. His breath lengthened a little, as if something in him was settling too. "Master, I'm afraid. If I don't fight my bad thoughts, I worry they'll sweep me away." Master Linden chuckled softly. "Have they swept you away yet?" "Since this morning?" "No. I'm still here." "Then you see," the Master said, Not every frightening thought is powerful. Some thoughts simply pass by, but you hold up your hands to block them, and that is why you're tired. Milo felt something inside him loosen. The master continued, "You've been fighting so long that when you don't fight, you think you're doing something wrong. But sometimes, to stop hurting, you only need to stop resisting." Milo stared at the stream, watching water fold around sharp rocks. "Master, how do I stop resisting?" "Look," the master pointed. "The stream never asks, 'Why is this rock here?' It moves around it, slows down, shifts its path, but it never abandons its nature." A cool breeze passed, carrying the scent of wet grass. Milo's eyes softened, as if a deeper image was rising in him. After a long pause, the master said quietly, "You are fighting your own feelings, Milo, and that is hurting you more than the mistake itself." A tear slipped down, not from shame, but from relief. When a difficult thought comes, don't push it away. Just notice it, the way water notices stone. No force, no judgment, no gripping. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to be here, in this breath, this moment, just as the stream only needs to flow. When Milo opened his eyes, his chest felt wider, not because the problem was gone, but because he wasn't straining anymore. "I'm afraid, Master, that if I let go, it'll become careless." Letting go is not the same as not caring. Letting go means seeing clearly what you can't change by tightening your heart around it. When you stop fighting the water, you don't become weak. You become honest. And only a softer heart can truly see where to step next. A long silence settled, like the quiet space between two waves of wind. Tonight, try one small thing. When your mind gets noisy again, don't fix it. Don't argue with it. Don't prove it wrong. Just notice it, the way you're noticing this stream. Let thoughts come. Let them pass. Let them rise and fade like moon reflections on water. Milo nodded slowly. On the way back up the path, he glanced at the rocks by the stream. They were still there, quiet and unmoving, not fighting, not tense. And the water was still moving past them, still flowing, still carrying the moonlight down the mountain. Milo felt something soften inside. Maybe his heart could be like that too. Not instantly peaceful, not instantly fixed, just a little less at war. He didn't need to be right tonight. He didn't need to be calm tonight. He only needed to stop fighting himself just enough to hurt less. There's something strange we humans often do to ourselves, and I think you've done it too. Whenever the mind feels messy, we try very hard to fix it right now. We try to force it to quiet down, force it to stop thinking, force it to be clear, force it to become some perfect version of ourselves we believe we're supposed to be. But in those moments, the mind becomes even cloudier. Let me tell you a simple little image, something everyday and ordinary, something everyone has seen, and yet it carries a lesson many adults still haven't learned. Imagine you're holding a jar of cloudy water. Inside it are bits of dirt and sand and tiny leaves, all swirling because the jar was shaken a moment ago. You're holding it, and you think, how do I make this water clear again? Your first instinct is to shake it harder, because somewhere inside, you believe the more you try, the more you push, the faster everything will settle. But you already know what happens. The water gets cloudier. The dirt rises. What was resting at the bottom is now floating everywhere like a storm. Just like your mind, some things have been lying quietly inside you for a long time. But the smallest trigger, a comment, a tiny mistake, an old memory, can stir everything up again. And then you try to fix it right away. Don't think about it. Calm down. Stop being weak. Get over it. Move on. Those words sound wise, but they become another hard shake to the jar. And every shake makes the mind a little more cloudy. But there is another way. A way so simple we often forget it exists. You put the jar down. You don't fix it. You don't shake it. You don't tell it to settle. You just let it rest. In that stillness, the dirt sinks on its own. The sand settles. The tiny leaves drift to the bottom. And the water becomes clear again. Not because it tried. Not because someone forced it. Not because it worked hard. It clears simply because it was allowed to be still. Your mind works the exact same way. There are days when you can't feel clean inside. Days when you can't be calm. Days when you can't be okay. Not because you're weak. Not because you're wrong. But because your mind was just shaken. And what it needs isn't another command, another push, another attempt to fix it. It needs to be placed down for a moment. Put down the pressure to be strong. Put down the urge to be perfect. Put down the belief you must move on instantly. Put down the fear you're falling behind. Just set everything down so your mind has space to settle by itself. If you pay attention, you'll notice your softest moments are never the ones where you force anything. They're the tiny moments when you watch clouds drift, when wind brushes past the window, when you close your eyes because you're tired, when your shoulders drop without effort, when you whisper to yourself, "It's okay, I'm just tired." Those moments feel peaceful because you stopped shaking the jar. There's a deeply human reason for this. The mind isn't a machine. It's a living body of water. Some days it's clear. Some days it's murky. Some days it's still. Some days the wind moves across it. It changes. It remembers. It feels. It reacts. It hurts. It breathes. You cannot command a body of water. Be still now. Clear up now. Hurry. Stop being cloudy. But you can stop shaking it. Stop adding pressure. Stop demanding clarity. Stop fighting the mess. And the water will return to its natural state, its clarity, on its own. Not instantly, but inevitably. Tonight, while you sit here listening, maybe you're holding a cloudy jar inside you. Something that made you tired. Something you're trying to fix too fast. Something you're gripping too tightly. Something you keep blaming yourself for. If so, do the one thing that helps most. Put it down. Just a little. Just for tonight. You don't have to forget. You don't have to understand yet. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to overcome. You just need to set the jar down so the dirt has somewhere to fall, so the water has time to clear, so your heart has room to breathe. You remember Milo and Master Linden, right? Milo wasn't tired because of his mistake. He was tired because he kept fighting what was happening inside him. But the moment he stopped resisting, stopped demanding himself to be okay, his mind softened, his breath deepened, his heart settled. The jar wasn't cleared by force. It was cleared by stillness. And you too, tonight give yourself a moment of stillness. No pressure, no fixing, no gripping. Just let every thought, every fear, every memory slowly sink to where it needs to go. Let your heart have space to soften, and then very quietly and very gently, like water after the rain, you'll notice a small, tender clarity beginning to rise inside you. Night had long fallen, yet the forest surrounding Moon Mine Temple still carried a faint warmth from the day. A thin layer of mist rested on the stones, on every tree trunk, like the soft breath of the earth itself. Above them, pale clouds stretched across the sky, letting the moon spill a quiet, silvery glow, like a scarf woven from light. Sister Arya walked slowly along the narrow forest path. Every step felt hesitant, not because her legs were tired, but because her heart was holding something she couldn't quite name. She had tried to meditate all day, tried to breathe deeply, tried to let go, but the harder she tried, the sharper the old memories became. Old sentences from someone long ago returned like fresh cuts. Inside her chest, everything felt as if it were swirling downward, like she was being pulled into a whirlpool that made her see life through a scratched and distorted lens. She stopped beneath an old maple tree. Why can't I just see things as they are? She whispered. Why does everything look heavier and darker than it should? She didn't notice Master Elias standing nearby. The moon is very gentle tonight, he said softly. Yet you're looking at it with eyes full of clouds. Arya startled and bowed. I'm sorry, Master. My mind is not easy to look through today. Master Elias didn't respond. He walked slowly around the maple tree, placing a hand on its rough, aged bark, as if greeting an old friend. After a quiet moment, he gestured for Arya to follow. She walked behind him, listening to the crisp break of dry leaves under their feet. The night breeze slipped through the forest, carrying a faint scent of wildflowers. Arya didn't know why the master was bringing her deeper into the woods. But she knew one thing. When Master Elias was silent, it meant the lesson wouldn't come from words, but from experience. They reached an open clearing where the moon spilled down like a soft pool of light. In the center stood a large, flat stone, and on that stone lay an old mirror. Not a temple mirror, not a polished one. This mirror was scratched and stained, its edges warped by decades of rain and seasons. Arya looked confused. Sit, the master said gently. She obeyed. Elias lifted the mirror. When you look into this, what do you see? Arya leaned forward. Scratches ran across the surface like crooked rays of light. Her reflection was blurred and bent, as though she were looking into disturbed water. I see me, she whispered, but not clearly, not truthfully. The master nodded. Tell me, Arya, do you think the mirror is wrong? Or you are wrong? Arya stayed quiet. He placed the mirror down, tilting it so the moonlight flowed across its surface. The mirror isn't wrong, he said. It simply shows what is seen through its scratches. Arya looked up. Master, are you saying I'm seeing life through my own scratches? He didn't answer with words, only gave a faint knowing smile. Arya, do you know why people can look at the same event and see completely different things? She shook her head. Because they don't see the truth, he said. They see their opinion of the truth. Arya's chest tightened, not with pain, but with a small, sudden clarity. For example, the master continued, a simple sentence from someone else. By itself, it's only sound, vibrations in the air. But when that sound passes through the scratches inside you, it becomes a blade. Arya lowered her gaze. She knew he was right. She had been looking at life through old wounds. Master Elias stepped closer. All great suffering, he said, does not come from events themselves, but from the way we see them. The wind moved through the trees, and a single maple leaf drifted down, like a quiet exhale. But Master, Arya asked softly, what am I supposed to do with my scratches? I don't know how to erase them. He looked at her for a long, gentle moment, as if seeing the very place inside her where the water was swirling. You do not need to erase them, he said. You only need to see them. Arya blinked. Just see them. He nodded. For the mind, seeing is the deepest form of healing. When you clearly see a crack, it no longer controls you from the dark. When you notice you are seeing others through the fear of your past, you've already stepped outside the loop. Arya felt something inside her loosen, like a door opening. But how do I know what is true? She whispered, and what is only my opinion. Master Elias led her deeper into the woods, to a small forest stream. The water was so clear, she could see every pebble beneath it. Look into this water, he said. She bent forward. Her reflection shone back, clear and whole without distortion. The truth, he said, is like still water. It reflects what is present, nothing more, nothing less. He dropped a stone into the stream. Ripples spread instantly. Arya's reflection fractured into pieces. And this, he said, is your opinion about the truth. Arya trembled. Then what should I do when my mind is full of ripples like this? Nothing, he answered simply. She looked up, startled. Nothing, master. He nodded gently. When you try to push the ripples down, you make more ripples. When you try to force your mind to be right, you make it more confused. When you tell yourself stop thinking, you stir the water even harder. Arya remembered her meditation earlier. All the forcing, the controlling, the tightening, and how it only made her more exhausted. If you let the water rest, it clears by itself. If you let your mind rest, it sees by itself. Arya watched the ripples fade. The moon appeared again in the reflection, calm and whole and steady. Master, I think I'm beginning to understand. He touched the stream lightly with his fingers. Your mind isn't broken, Arya. It is only reflecting things that once hurt you. When you avoid them, they grow louder. When you look at them, they soften. You can try something tonight. When a painful thought appears, instead of fighting it, ask gently, is this the truth? Or my old scratches showing themselves? You don't need to answer right away. Just asking is enough to free you from the swirl. Arya exhaled a long, steady breath that finally reached her lungs. Master Elias looked at her the way someone looks at a river beginning to open, not rushing it, not forcing it, not trying to make it anything else. Arya, he said softly, you don't need to become someone else. You only need to see what is clearly. When you see clearly, you are free. Mist gathered on Arya's hair, glittering under the moonlight. She looked at the water, at her reflection, not perfect, not polished, but real. I've been seeing everything through my worry, through my self-blame, through my past, she whispered. Maybe all this time, I've only been looking at my own shadow. The master placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. And tonight, he said, you've finally seen yourself. A long silence settled between them. Not heavy, not sad, just the kind of quiet that comes when the forest is falling asleep. Arya slowly stood up. The forest glowed softly in the thin mist. She saw trees, just trees. She saw wind, just wind. She saw water, just water. And herself, just herself. No extra judgment layered on top. No extra story wrapped around everything. When you see the truth, you are no longer dragged around by opinions about it. You simply live. Arya bowed deeply. Master, I think tonight I've learned how to look. He chuckled softly. No. Tonight, you've learned how to see. They stayed there a while, the stream growing quieter, the forest sinking into stillness, the sky opening into a wide, clear space of light. Arya felt her mind becoming like that forest, not as dark as she thought, not as tangled as she feared, not as stirred up as it used to feel. It was slowly lighting up, bit by bit, moment by moment, and she knew that from this night on, she would begin to walk through life with eyes that could see beyond the old scratches and into what was truly there. There's something beautiful about the human brain, something most people go their whole lives without knowing. Not because it's complicated, but because we're too busy to notice. Beneath every thought, every worry, every old memory, every loop of self-analysis, every bit of noise in your head, there is always a natural layer of quiet, a background sky behind the clouds, a still lake beneath the ripples, a warm pocket of space between two breaths. No matter how loud your mind feels, no matter how heavy today has been, no matter how fast your thoughts are spinning, no matter what is tugging at your chest, that layer of quiet never disappears. It only gets covered, the way the moon gets covered by clouds. But the moon doesn't vanish because of it. Scientists call this the brain's default quiet state. It's the deepest state of your nervous system, where the brain isn't fighting, isn't planning, isn't bracing. It's simply breathing, the same way you're breathing now. They've found something beautiful, even when your mind feels chaotic. Your brain quietly protects a safe place inside you, a space where brainwaves slow, your heartbeat softens, and your whole system shifts toward safety. Like the calm center of a storm, still even when the wind is wild, that calm center inside you has always been there. When you're tired, your mind naturally tries to return to that quiet zone, not because you're good at relaxing, not because you're a perfect meditator. It's simply how life works. The brain is designed to pull you back toward what is safest inside you. to lower the pressure, to soften your heartbeat, to ease cortisol, to carry you toward rest. You don't have to create calm. You only have to stop blocking the way home. It's like the jar of cloudy water. If you shake it and shake it, the water only gets murkier. And when you try to force your mind to be calm, it's the same. More noise, more pressure, more fog. But when you set the jar down and do nothing, the water clears on its own. Your nervous system works exactly like that jar. It settles when it's not being pushed. It softens when it's not being managed. It clears when it isn't being ordered to clear. When you stop trying to fix your mind, your brain gently finishes the job for you. There's a sweet little experiment scientists love. They let anxious people listen to soft, steady sounds. A fan, a stream, the wind, rain falling gently. And within minutes, their brains shifted into alpha waves. The waves that show up when the mind is relaxing, when the body feels safe enough to let go. The most beautiful part: alpha waves didn't appear because they tried to relax. They appeared because they stopped trying. The brain just needs a soft rhythm, a gentle sound, a small pause, and it will move itself toward calm. The way a child stops crying when held by someone it trusts. Later tonight, when you lie down, when your eyes get heavier, when your breath becomes slower, you'll feel something subtle. You don't have to force your thoughts to stop. You don't have to order your mind to be quiet. You don't have to shut anything down. You only need to give your mind a little space, a gentle breath, a soft presence, and that quiet layer underneath will rise by itself, like the lake bottom appearing when the water settles, like the moon showing when clouds drift on, like peace returning when you stop fighting yourself. The gentle truth is this: you don't make quiet. You return to the quiet that has always been there. Even when you feel scattered, even when your thoughts are loud, even when your heart feels full of weather, that layer of stillness is waiting. Soft, wide, constant. You don't need skill. You don't need perfection. You don't need to meditate right. You don't need to let go instantly. You just need to be here. Sit for a moment. Breathe a little softer. Give your mind space, the way water gets space after the storm passes. Just let it be what it is. And slowly, very slowly, you'll feel that quiet rising. Not a big silence, not a dramatic shift, just a thin, warm layer beneath the noise. A little silence in the chest, a soft opening below the thoughts. That place doesn't ask you to be okay. It doesn't ask you to be strong. It doesn't ask you to forget what hurt. It only says, rest here for a moment. You don't have to fight anymore. And when you touch that quiet, even for a few seconds, the brain shifts deeper. The body loosens. The mind softens. Science calls this a parasympathetic shift. The moment your body chooses rest and repair. But the old masters had another name for it. The moment the heart settles on its own, not because you're perfect, not because you defeated your thoughts, not because you tried hard enough, but because quiet never left you. It was only waiting for you to stop fighting yourself. And tonight, as you melt into rest, you'll feel that quiet rising through you, like a misty lake becoming clear, like the moon stepping out of a cloud. Your quiet is still here. You only have to touch it. There is a small garden behind the Moon Mind Temple, a place almost no one knows about. It isn't bright, isn't impressive, isn't special in any obvious way. Just a small patch of earth, a few lines of herbs, a few bushes of flowers, and a stone path leading quietly inward. But for anyone carrying a silent kind of hurt, this little garden feels like a place where the heart can breathe a little easier. Tonight, I want to take you there. Imagine you're opening a very old wooden gate. The wind touching your face so lightly, the ground under your feet soft, and the scent of plants resting on your shoulders like a gentle breath. You don't have to do anything. Just step in, as if you've walked out of a very long day. And this garden is laying a thin layer of quiet over you, not saying anything, just holding you with silence. In the center of the garden, there is a low wooden table. On it, a cracked bowl, not shattered, not broken into sharp pieces, just one long fracture running from the rim to the bottom. A crack that must have held on for a long, long time, but was never truly cared for. This bowl is like the heart of many people. Yours and mine too. Not broken, but lined with tiny fractures, memories, blame, nights filled with thoughts, things you wish you could forget. I want you to sit beside that table now, not to fix the bowl, not to pity it, not to pretend it isn't cracked. Just look at it the way you'd look at yourself. Now imagine this. A drop of water falls into the bowl. It doesn't avoid the crack. It isn't afraid of slipping through. It simply rests there, quiet, gentle. Then another drop, and another. Do you see it? Water always finds the lowest place. It always chooses the softest way to exist. We don't. We try to be strong, to stay intact, to act like everything is fine, to hold our fractures tight. But water teaches us something humans forget. When we soften, we don't break. When we soften, we don't crack further. When we soften, we become able to hold ourselves. Let me give you another picture. In the garden, a small path leads to the eastern field. If you walk there, you'll see a patch of earth, the kind that looks like something once grew there and then was pulled out. It looks a little sad, a little empty, like the empty places inside us, where something once bloomed and then faded. Someone once asked, why was everything cleared here? Who removed it? And an old monk only smiled. Sometimes the garden needs a space to breathe, just like the human heart needs a place to recover. You see, not everything erased is a loss. Some empty spaces exist so we can become lighter. Like when you've hurt for too long, and your heart, instead of holding on, whispers, "Give me a little room to rest." That empty space isn't as frightening as you think. It's new soil, a new ground, a place where something softer can grow. Now return to the cracked bowl. You lean down, touch the fracture very gently, and you realize the crack isn't sharp. Time has softened it. just like your heart has softened through everything you've lived. Not because it's weak, but because it learned to stop resisting. When you stop resisting, a crack stops being a place that hurts. It becomes a place where light comes through. Imagine lifting the bowl. It's lighter than you thought. The wind brushes your hand, soft, like a quiet apology you never gave yourself. You turn to the right. There is a shallow dip in the earth where rainwater settles. The water is so clear, you can see your face. You lower the bowl, scoop a little. The water runs into the crack, slides down, melts into the soil. No sound, no drama, no rush. Just flow, the way water always does. You watch it slip through the fracture, and something becomes clear. Not everything that leaves is loss. Some things leave you so you can be lighter. Like sorrow passing through you on long nights. Like mistakes sliding out of your chest when you stop fighting them. Like heaviness falling away when you exhale deeply. Now you place the bowl on the earth. The night wind moves through the crack, making a thin sound, almost like a tiny bell. You listen, and your chest opens a little more. In this quiet garden, everything accepts you. What you did well, what you couldn't do, what you wish you could fix, what you want to let go of, what you still can't let go of. Everything is placed into the same space. Real, gentle, healing. Not perfect, but real. I want to give you one last image. Imagine walking to the far corner of the garden. There is a tiny spout, a thin stream of water falling like a string of light. You place your hand beneath it. It's cold, but the kind of cold that wakes life. It's soft, as if the water knows you're tired. It isn't strong, but it never stops. You keep your hand there for a long time. A long, long time. And you realize water never breaks. It can fall. It can change direction. It can split into droplets. But it never breaks. Your heart is the same, no matter what it's been through, no matter how many cracks it holds, no matter how many days you almost collapsed from exhaustion. Your heart has not broken. It has only softened. And this softness is the reason you are still here. Now you walk out of the garden. No need to take the bowl. No need to hold the water. No need to erase what happened. You carry only one thing: softness. Softness makes the pain less sharp. Softness makes memories less heavy. Softness keeps the heart from cracking further. Softness reminds you that you are still whole, even with a few fractures. And tonight, if something still hurts, remember this image: a cracked bowl, a quiet garden, a single drop of water sliding through the fracture and flowing away so gently, just like the sadness in you. It is passing through. It won't stay forever. It's only passing. You only need to soften. Just a little. A little is enough. It was late at night, but the moon lake at the foot of the hill was shining like a sheet of silver silk laid out to the edge of the forest. The surface was so still, it looked like the whole sky had leaned down to rest inside one quiet breath. Brother Theo stood alone at the water's edge, his hands woven together, his shoulders slightly raised, as if he were carrying some heavy, invisible bag of wind. He looked down at the lake, but he couldn't really see himself. Right now, his chest was full of noise. All the old sentences Head told himself for years. I always ruin everything. I'm never good enough. I fail at even the simplest things. I'm the kind of person who shouldn't be here at all. Those lines spun around and around, like a whirlpool tightening around him, until even his breath became shallow and quick. On a night this quiet, his own mind was the thing tiring him out the most. Behind him, soft footsteps brushed over the grass. What story are you telling about yourself right now, Theo? That voice, warm, gentle, and slow, like wind sliding across a stone cliff, could only belong to Grandpa Ellis, the old man who had lived in the wooden house by the lake for more than 30 years. Theo turned and bowed deeply. Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. Bother. Grandpa Ellis chuckled softly. At my age, the only thing that bothers me is forgetting my raincoat when it's pouring. Anyone who stands sad under the moon like this usually needs someone to sit nearby. Without waiting for Theo to answer, he walked to the rock beside the boy, sat down, then patted the other rock. Sit, my boy. The moon is too beautiful tonight. We shouldn't leave it to watch just the two of us alone. Theo let out a small, tired smile. Weak, but honest. He sat down. His hands rested on his knees, still clenched tight, like a rope wrapped around his own chest. Grandpa Ellis watched the lake for a long while. He didn't press for answers, didn't preach, didn't ask Theo to explain himself. He just sat there steady, close enough for Theo to feel safe, but not so close that the boy felt exposed. At last, Theo spoke. Grandpa, I don't understand why I always think the worst about myself. I don't know why my mind is full of sentences that just keep repeating. The story your mind tells you about you, Ellis said softly. Sometimes it isn't the truth, Theo. It's just a story. Theo squeezed his hands even tighter. But it feels so true, Grandpa. So true that I believe I am that kind of person. Grandpa Ellis smiled, a gentle smile like a piece of moonlight on the water. Do you want to hear an old story? One I've carried since I was younger than you are now. Theo nodded. Back then, Ellis began, eyes still on the lake. I was just like you. You? Theo blinked, surprised. Yes, he nodded slowly. I used to tell myself one story every day. A heavy, sad story, like the one you're telling yourself now. I used to think I ruined everything. I used to believe I was the source of all the bad things. I used to fear that if I disappeared, everyone's life would feel lighter. Theo lowered his head. His fingers trembled a little. He knew that feeling too well. But one night, I realized something. Ellis said, his voice so soft, even the breeze paused to listen. I wasn't hurting because of the truth. I was hurting because of the story I thought was the truth. Theo looked up. Those are different things. Ellis nodded. Very different, Theo. Grandpa Ellis bent down, picked up a fallen leaf, set it gently on the lake. The leaf drifted slowly, as if an invisible hand were keeping it afloat. You see this leaf? He asked. Theo nodded. The leaf doesn't know if it fell because of the season, or because of the wind, or because the branch grew weak. It just falls. Ellis swirled the water with his fingers, making the leaf spin in a small circle. Then he took his hand away. The water carried the leaf smoothly along its own path. But if the leaf could think, he continued, maybe it would tell itself a story. I fell because I'm not good enough. I fell because I'm useless. I fell because I deserve to fall. Theo watched the leaf, a heaviness softening in his chest. You see, Ellis said, the leaf isn't wrong. It's just falling. Theo swallowed, his throat tight. You mean maybe I'm not as wrong as I think? Ellis touched Theo's shoulder. So lightly it felt like a sigh. You're not wrong. You're just believing a story your mind has repeated for a long time. Let me tell you something else. Our brain loves to keep old stories, even when they're no longer true. Like a worn path in the forest. Theo whispered. Exactly. Ellis smiled. If you walk the same trail enough times, your feet will want to walk it again, even when it's not a good path for you. Ellis picked up a pebble, placed it in Theo's hand. Do you know the most beautiful thing about a worn path? Theo shook his head. If you stop walking on it, the path disappears on its own. Theo looked down at the pebble. Something inside him moved just a little. You are not the story you tell about yourself, Theo. The story is just old footprints. You are the one who can choose to step in a new direction. Anytime. Theo shivered softly, as if something in his heart cracked open. Not to hurt, but to let a bit of light in. Grandpa Ellis stood up. Come with me. They walked along the edge of the lake until they reached a large flat rock on the eastern side, the place where the moon's reflection was always clearest. Here the water was so still, it looked like the sky had been placed gently inside the lake. Ellis sat down. Theo looked into the water. Theo leaned forward. He saw his own face clearly, almost like he was staring at another person. Another Theo, quiet under the moon. The water doesn't hold on to any cloud. Ellis said softly, when clouds pass by, it reflects them. When they're gone, it returns to itself. Theo stayed quiet for a very long time. In that moment, it felt like he was seeing himself, not through the story in his head, but through a layer of stillness beneath everything. Grandpa, Theo whispered, can I go back to being like this water? Ellis smiled, warm as firelight. You never left. Theo looked up, eyes wide, not with shock, but with recognition. Your mind has always been like this water, but you keep thinking you are the clouds passing over it. Theo placed a hand on his chest. I am not my old stories. No. Ellis shook his head. You are the one who sees, not the thing being talked about. A great silence opened up inside Theo. Not heavy, not dark, but the silence of someone who has just glimpsed the sky behind the clouds. One tear slipped from Theo's eye, fell into the lake, disappeared instantly. No big ripples, no drama, no chaos. It just joined the water and was gone. Just like that, Ellis said. One drop doesn't break the lake. One memory doesn't break you. One mistake doesn't turn you into a bad person. It's just one drop. Theo inhaled softly, then exhaled, as if for the first time he allowed himself to loosen his grip. The moon climbed higher, painting the lake with a long, glowing path of light. Theo sat beside Grandpa Ellis for a very long time, not talking, not trying to think or fix anything, just letting his breath lead the way. At last Ellis spoke. You don't have to erase your old story. You just need to remember it isn't you. Theo touched his chest again. I am the water. That's right. Ellis smiled. And the water doesn't hold on to clouds. They stood up, walked back along the grassy path toward the temple. The night sky opened around them, like a pair of arms holding them both. Theo knew that when the old stories came knocking again, as they often do, he would remember this lake, and he would remember, I am not my story. Just like the mirror that doesn't keep the clouds, he could let thoughts pass, let feelings pass, and still remain who he truly was. Quiet, wide, and gently shining underneath. Now, come back to your body for a moment. Let your shoulders drop, like the last dust of the day settling on a quiet table. Let your jaw soften, like a small door gently being closed. Let your chest open for one slow breath, and soften again as you exhale. Feel your hands easing in your lap. Feel your eyes growing a little heavier. No need to look perfect. No need to get it right. Just let your body find its own way back to calm. You're safe now. No matter what noise your mind carried today, no matter what your heart didn't know where to put, right here in this moment, you are safe. Everything you feel makes sense. There is no wrong emotion. No sadness that makes you unworthy. No memory that turns you into a worse person. They are all just clouds, arriving, passing, leaving. And you are not those clouds. You've been strong enough. You've tried enough. You've carried far too much for one day. Right now you can set things down lightly. You don't have to let go of everything. Just a piece. Set down the pressure to be good. Set down the fear of being wrong. Set down the old stories touching your heart. Set down the need to understand everything tonight. You don't have to earn your rest. You don't have to prove anything to deserve peace. You were worthy long before any hard thing happened. Let your breath guide you to a softer place. A place where you are held without conditions. A place where your heart is allowed to be just a heart. No roles, no weight, no judgment. Tonight, give yourself this small gift, the permission to soften in your own arms. Now imagine the sky above you opening wider. The thin silver threads of the galaxy drifting past. Slowly, silently, as if the whole universe is breathing with you. You are a small point of light in that gentle river. Not lost, not alone, just dissolving softly, quietly, as everything around you melts like mist, and you melt with it. If you're still awake, I'm still right here, quiet beside you. And if your eyes are beginning to close, let sleep take its time, wrapping around you slowly, kindly. You've done enough for today. You're allowed to rest. You're safe. And if nights like this help your heart feel softer, you can, only if you want, subscribe or leave a small note. Sleep well. Sleep well.